Lessons learned from the Gorakhpur Massacre. Now Uttar Pradesh's Farrukhabad relives the nightmare. As many as 49 children have died in 30 days in the government-run RML hospital. Once again, killer negligence to blame.
The government had to withdraw and promise the protesting doctors that there will be no action on FIR registered against them.
The government hospital was exposed after Farrukhabad city magistrate wrote to the city Kotwali police station urging that legal action be initiated against doctors in the hospital. But the new investigating officers have taken a complete U-turn, giving the doctors a clean chit.
मुझे नहीं लगता कि ऑक्सीजन कंसंट्रेटर इनके पास जा रहे हैं जो 2 बच्चों के लिए ऑक्सीजन कंसंट्रेटर से ऑक्सीजन दी जा सकती है। इसके अलावा ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर की उपलब्धता हमेशा 24 आवर यहाँ पे है, तो मुझे नहीं लगता कहीं से ऑक्सीजन की कमी है। डॉक्टर चूंकि एक डॉक्टर है, एक डॉक्टर की कमी तो है, डॉक्टर की कमी है।
Once again, this incident exposes the brazenness of Uttar Pradesh's healthcare machinery. Once again, after Gorakhpur, on display is the deplorable state of the healthcare system in UP. A massive cover-up is allegedly underway.
Our hospitals have been den of corruption everywhere.
ये उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार, जो आप सोचिए, गोरखपुर में बच्चे मरते हैं, फर्रुखाबाद में बच्चे मरते हैं, बनारस के अस्पताल में बच्चे मरते हैं, बहराइच में अस्पताल में बच्चे मरते हैं, बुलंदशहर में बच्चा मरता है, इनको कोई संजीदगी नहीं है।
An FIR under IPC Section 304 culpable homicide not amounting to murder has been lodged in connection with the baby deaths. The district magistrate, the chief medical officer and the chief medical superintendent have also been transferred.
कुछ रिपोर्ट ऐसी है जो आज मिलेंगी नहीं।
मतलब मिली क्यों नहीं है? डॉक्टर मिले नहीं, क्या रहा?
डॉक्टर ही नहीं मिले।
The pyres of over 100 innocent babies from the Gorakhpur massacre are still fresh. And now with Farrukhabad, it's become obvious that healthcare system is in shambles in Uttar Pradesh. While the Yogi government continues to be in denial, Mirror now continues to ask the same questions we've been asking right from day one. How many more babies need to die before the government wakes up? Shouldn't the centre step in before it becomes too late? Mirror now report.
47 babies have died in RML hospital in Uttar Pradesh. Add that to the total 1,349 children that have died in the BRD hospital in Uttar Pradesh this year since January. This is what the death toll sounds like. 152 children dead in January, 122 in February, 159 in March, 123 in April, 139 in May, 137 in June, 128 in July and 325 in August. In September, in the first 5 days of September, 56 children have died in the BRD hospital in Uttar Pradesh. And now if we add the RML hospital as well, in Farrukhabad, it's obvious one thing is for sure, that the government doesn't even know right now how to conduct an investigation into these deaths. We've seen a messed up investigation where the district magistrate has given a press bite about the people who investigated these deaths, saying you misled us, you gave us incomplete information and you disregarded orders. The system is broken. And worst of all, the government doesn't seem to care. Who's killing babies in Uttar Pradesh? That's a question we're asking this evening. Joining me on the show, Anila Singh, spokesperson of the BJP, Mohammad Khan, spokesperson of the Congress Party, Nasir Salim of the Samajwadi Party, Amit Kenkha, senior lawyer of the Supreme Court, Javed Ansari is a senior journalist, and Dr. Vivek Desai is with the consultancy firm Horsemack that aids hospitals in making vital decisions. I welcome you to this conversation. Mr. Kemka, I'm going to start with you. Again, unfortunately, we speak under terrible circumstances. More babies are dying in Uttar Pradesh and nobody seems to care.
Faye, one thing is very clear, that there is something wrong deeply into the system. Be it Gorakhpur, be it Farrukhabad, be it anywhere else, what is being overlooked completely is that what is that which is wrong with the system. You can pinpoint, you can go around, you can chop the heads, you can keep on blaming, getting into the blame game, but there is something horribly wrong with the system. Now that is a truth which is proven by these cases consecutively happening. Now look at what is happening. You go around any of these hospitals, what you will find one common feature, there would be so many chemist shops outside these hospitals. Now when in government hospitals, all the medicines are supposed to be dispensed with freely, how these chemist shops are surviving, they are hundreds in number, just outside the walls of the hospitals. Everywhere in UP you go, Agra, Gorakhpur, Farrukhabad, anywhere you go, you will find lots of chemist shops there. That means that there is so much of corruption there that the medicines which come there, they are not supplied. So it must be happening with the oxygen as well. So somebody has to see, somebody has to examine where are the resources going. After all, the resources are being allocated. Crores of rupees are being allocated. Where are they going? Now, there is absolutely no investigation on that. What is there being investigated? Who is at fault? Which doctor is at fault? Which officer is at fault? We have to see where is the systemic fault. Where lies why this whole system is crumbling? Why healthcare is not taken care of? I mean, why it is such a negligent? I mean, you can be so negligent about the whole healthcare system. Where is that problem? One has to see that.
And I want to ask this question of Javed Ansari, who's a senior journalist who joins us right now in our Noida studio. Mr. Ansari, there's an argument that has constantly been offered up to us by the current government in Uttar Pradesh that this was always the state of affairs and this is a broken system that they have inherited. There's very little they can do about it in the immediate, in the immediate past. Where do you stand on this? Do you believe that Uttar Pradesh is just broken and we have to just make our peace with the fact that babies die in these large numbers?
Certainly not. While there is an element of truth that this is not something unique to this government, Uttar Pradesh's healthcare system has been abysmal. It always has been. I speak from personal experience. My father had a heart attack. We rushed him to the district hospital. He was treated for worms in his stomach for 30 days. It's miraculous that he survived. Having said that, it doesn't help this government's case anymore by pinning the blame on somebody else. Even if the previous BJP has been in power in Uttar Pradesh in the past as well. So are they indicting their own government? This is not about governments. This is not about political parties. The fact is that healthcare is not on the list of priorities has not been on the list of priorities of successive governments. Huge amounts of money are allocated, but we need to probe how much of it is used wisely. Most of it is pilfered, it's defecated, it lines the pockets of people. And just a couple of years back, we had a huge scam where the CGMO where the chief medical officers were involved. Some of them even had to do with their, have to pay with their lives. There is something terribly, terribly rotten with Uttar Pradesh's healthcare system.
Well, I also want to ask you this, Javed Ansari. We've seen the government, if not take responsibility for what happened in Farrukhabad, bungle up the investigation again. Because the government turned around and first of all, there was a report submitted. Then that report was withdrawn, saying this report was submitted in haste and it is not complete. The doctors who were suspended have now been reinstated and the government has made a promise that no action will be taken against the doctors, which obviously means the government doesn't know what it's doing. Mr. Ansari.
Well, absolutely. If proof was ever needed, here it is. Rather than just pounce on a particular doctor or absolve some doctors under pressure from a larger body of doctors, that is not the question. There is a huge problem staring us in the, there's a disaster waiting to happen every second day. Earlier in the program, when you were reading out these figures, I thought these were sensex figures. I mean, in modern day in India, in 21st century, hundreds of children are dying every month. And we say that we are in the 21st century, that Uttar Pradesh is taking the lead. All governments have just, turned a blind eye to this. They've focused on populist schemes, whereas our children, whereas our citizens die by the dozen, almost by the day.
Right, Anila Singh of the BJP joins us right now. And Anila Singh, you missed out the data I was calling. I was reading out before you were patched into the show. RML Hospital in August, 49 babies have died. Infants have died. 152 in January in BRD hospital, only in one hospital. These are children's statistics of dead children in one hospital. 122 in February, 159 in March, 123 in April, 139 in May, 137 in June, 128 in July, 325 in August, and 56 in September in just 5 days. Anila Singh, does the government of Uttar Pradesh not care?
Faye, in last few days, I'm sure every member on this panel and every inhabitant in this country has been sufficiently harrowed by the details of infant death in Uttar Pradesh. But I totally agree that it is measureless calamity. But telling the truth doesn't need any sort of art. I can tell you the facts and figures. Just now you mentioned about the facts and figures right now at the time of your show started. But even I have got some facts and figures with me. So if you permit, I can. My voice is echoing too much. It is becoming very difficult for me to speak. If you can get it corrected, please. So even I have got some facts and figures in front of me. If you talk about the August deaths, it is really sad when I say August deaths. But just now you mentioned about August death, that in 2017, 325 kids died in BRD hospital. But at the same time, I can tell you about the 2014, 15 and 16, when 567, 558 and 587 kids died in BRD hospital. And if we take out the average, this August 2017 August is the lowest. But it is really sad when we sit on the panel and we start discussing about the average of the death. It is really, really sad. I am not going to say here that why we are not discussing about the kids' death in Karnataka or in West Bengal or in Andhra Pradesh. Today we are sitting here because I don't know why only Uttar Pradesh is being targeted. I don't know why this present government is being portrayed as if we are the cannibal. I don't know why it is being showed as if neonatal deaths has been skyrocketed in the as this government has come in power. I really fail to understand. But just now, as one of your panelists has mentioned, if we talk about
why the babies died in Farrukhabad,
Uttar Pradesh, it is in shambles.
Can you tell me why?
It is in a rotten state. So it is not that so many things have to be done and so many steps have to be taken to improve the system. It takes time. But since you mentioned about facts and figures, even I have put in front my facts and figure which I got about the previous government.
Okay, we're going to get that fixed for Anila Singh, but I just want to point out that a battle or a race of death is no way to deal with this problem. Let me bring in, though the question she asks is fair. Let me bring in Nasir Salim. Mohammed Khan, I see your hand up. I'll come to you. Nasir Salim, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Anila Singh of the BJP says the state of Uttar Pradesh is rotten and the BJP cannot be expected to fix it overnight. Why did the previous government create this current state of rottenness in Uttar Pradesh?
Firstly, I would like to thank Mira now for bringing this topic up again. Requires obviously immediate attention. But before I get to this, I have one request to the entire BJP and the entire nation, and especially to all your viewers. The BJP should stop talking and giving statistics. Look, here you have a situation. Every BJP spokesperson comes and tells us what happened last year, 3 months ago, 100 days ago. It's been 180 days since you've come into power. Please take responsibility. It's the second time that you've had an event as big as this. What is happening on the primary health centers? We've been harping the last 180 days, specifically in the last 100 days, by saying, please decentralize your primary health centers. Ensure that you have adequate number of support, infrastructure, doctors. What the BJP government now is doing is primarily playing a blame game. You're blaming the doctors, you're blaming the infrastructure. Look, how much time does it take for a government in power, voted largest majority in UP, to actually get into action? Why are you looking? These are basically baseless arguments, Faye. I'm shocked. It's absolutely shocking that the BJP is coming and giving us statistics. The chief minister needs to come out brazenly and accept it. That the law and order situation, the infrastructure, public services, health services have all collapsed ever since the government is gone. And that is a fact. We were the ones who empowered 108 ambulance. Why don't you work on ensuring that it works more effectively? Number two, my only point is, you've now gone ahead and removed the entire administration in Farrukhabad. Who's going to give you a true picture today? The district magistrate has been suspended. You have a chief minister's office which comes and says, just pushing the DM's order on the CMS and the CMO. There is complete mockery of the
Right. Let me take that question back to Javed Ansari. All right, let me take that question back to Javed Ansari. Javed Ansari, do you believe that it's fair to say that the previous government brought in a 108, brought in some systems that have collapsed since the new government took over? Or was Uttar Pradesh always, in the words of Anila Singh, rotten?
Well, the health system was always abysmal. The previous government did make some effort by bringing in these ambulances, but much of this was confined to the metro, to the city centers. If you go to the district headquarters and if you go to the villages, the ambulances were very few and far in between. They didn't have what Uttar Pradesh's health system requires is not just these cosmetic efforts, but healthcare needs to become the flagship program of the Uttar Pradesh government. Every time people like me go to our homes in Uttar Pradesh, we fear. The only prayer I have on my lips is that I shouldn't fall ill when I go to my village, because the healthcare system is so bad. They need to invest money. They need to ensure that there are skilled doctors there. They need to ensure that there's proper infrastructure, the latest machinery available, the latest gadget, and there's enough, I mean, there cannot be a worse commentary than this, that children die for lack of oxygen. If everything was hunky-dory and if, the governments were paying the kind of attention they ought to have, correct, then at least, the very least that they could have done was at least ensure that there's adequate supply of oxygen. In Gorakhpur, it's a case of oxygen. In other places, it could be a case of life-saving medicines and so on and so forth. The fact of the matter is that this has not enjoyed the kind of priority or the kind of attention that it ought to have from successive governments. And the sooner the political parties across the board stop blaming each other and start focusing, and here the government of the day needs to start focusing. They've been in power for 180 days. It's long enough time.
Yes.
Blaming others will not wash anymore. The buck stops with them. They need to get their act together and do it fast.
Right, and I also want to point out here that while various governments of Uttar Pradesh have let the children down, I believe that the media has a responsibility here as well, because these stories do not occupy prime time mind space. They don't get discussed. Absolutely, they don't get highlighted. And, while I could turn around and also say that it was previous editors had made those decisions, I believe collectively there needs to be a responsibility that needs to be taken by the media, saying we should have done better. Because these stories were not highlighted, that's why 500 children die in 1 month in one hospital and nobody talks about it. It is something we can change now. And I really hope that the current government in Uttar Pradesh says, you know what, we will fix it now. We will guarantee to you that no more babies will die in this hospital. We will guarantee to you that we will make the best doctors, best facilities available to the children of BRD hospital or to the children in Farrukhabad, and we'll make sure that they do not die. That's all that you need to say. Pointing fingers at the governments behind you just shows that you have no solutions. You don't have an idea in your head on how to fix this problem. And the reason why you've been elected into power is because people hope that you do have an idea in your head that the previous government did not have. And I want to bring in Dr. Vivek Desai. Dr. Vivek Desai of HOSMAC. The IMA placed before the Uttar Pradesh government a very clear report on Gorakhpur saying you need doctors, you need nurses, you need to have your primary health centers up and running, and they gave them a checkbox list on what needs to be done, none of which was followed. What does that tell you, Dr. Desai?
So, whatever I have heard till now, speakers, talking about this episode as something with the government and giving it a political tinge, I think that's not going to work. Now, whatever the IMA, you just now mentioned that the IMA has told that you should have number of doctors, number of nurses, and the other things, primary healthcare centers. Now, all of that, has been going on for the past 100 years, whatever, since India's independence. But what you have to also understand is that in acute care, when patient comes in a neonatal intensive care or a pediatric intensive care, he's already, in a situation where he should have not been. So the problem is not in the hospital alone, but it is also in the chain of referral which happens in India. So the primary healthcare center probably is the place where it should be diagnosed faster. Mind you, Japanese encephalitis, which was a disease which has been touted, of killing people in children in Gorakhpur, is a viral disease. It doesn't have a treatment per se except symptomatic. So if you are getting children at the end stage, their survival is going to be difficult. And as the lady, threw some figures, and she may be not very wrong, because generally in these months the statistics is higher. Generally in any public hospital, I passed out maybe about 30 years ago from a college in Udaipur, and I remember even in those days there were on an average about 8 to 10 deaths, in the pediatric ward every day. You take that into 300, you were about 100, 120 every day, any which ways. The problem with Indian healthcare system is that we have started to become more private oriented with very little focus going on the public health, and that's where the system probably is going wrong. You look at the number of doctors. I think I read in newspapers today or yesterday that they have sacked about 6 or 7 doctors. Now that's not going to get you the result. It will demoralize the front line that you have today treating patients, and you sacking them is going to demoralize down the line also. So that's probably not the answer to this kind of thing. You have to look at systematic failures which have happened. You have to improve upon them, improve the referral chain, bring in private sector wherever you think you can. Gujarat probably is a very good example where the antenatal and the postnatal program that the government runs is also partially through the private sector, and that has improved. The maternal mortality rates have gone down. The neonatal the survival rates have gone up. But this is because there is all that joint effort between the private sector and the public sector. It sounds
exactly like the advice that the IMA had given the government of Uttar Pradesh, advice that was not taken. Let me just one more speaker, Mohammed Khan of the Congress. Mohammed Khan, at the end of the day, all we need as citizens of this country are for governments to stand up, take responsibility, and fix the problem. Why don't we have that in any of our states right now?
Well, I want to say something very quickly. Anila ji, the problem seems to be of attribution and acknowledgement. If the problem was simply that previous governments hadn't done their jobs, then you could be indulged to the extent if you provided alternative solutions. But शुरुआत से आप लोगों की रणनीति और strategy यही रही है, और दुख की बात यह है that, and even now, when you're speaking in this debate, you're trying to draw attention to other states where babies are dying, which is a terrible strategy, as opposed to Mr. Desai, who's trying to tell you the strategies in other states that you should be adopting to save these babies from dying. So I clearly think that there's a problem of acknowledgement, and that's been there from day one. You said August का महीना है, बच्चे तो मरते ही हैं, then Prime Minister comes out, dismisses it in a sentence, calling it a natural calamity. Amit Shah comes and talks about it being politicized. Siddharth Nath Singh says, I'm not the minister for colleges, I'm the minister for health. So there is clearly a game here on your part to try and avoid any semblance of you taking responsibility, and that is terrible. For a government that makes extraordinary promises, don't be surprised when people who have extraordinary expectations of you. So you can't now say that अच्छा पिछली सरकारों ने नहीं किया तो हम भी नहीं करेंगे. You have to do your job. I also want to say this. Mr. Desai is very right, and this is the direction in which you people should be moving. There are other states that have worked in the health sector and have gotten better results with both private-public partnership models. Kerala comes to mind. Even Gujarat has had some, speaking in a non-partisan manner, even Gujarat has had some success with these models. Please import these models, because these children, even if by your own admission, are dying of Japanese encephalitis or due to lack of oxygen, then those are all preventable causes. And the fact that this happens is attributable directly to human error. So all I will say is this, Anila ji, please stop playing politics on this. We don't want to play politics on the graves of children. Please put out a roadmap and watch the other parties support you in implementing it.
I want to ask Anila Singh these questions. Anila Singh, is it not true?
Who is talking? It is becoming very difficult for me. Faye, can I react on? Can I react what Mr. Khan said right now?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I really fail to understand. Just now Mr. Khan has preached, he has given a long lecture that how we can improve our health sector in Uttar Pradesh or in India as well. This is one political party who has reigned this country the longest time period. And what they did, they tried their level best to extinguish the life from the lamp. But Mr. Khan, now BJP government is here. You can accuse us, you can target us, you can accuse us, you can target us, and you can tell us that we should take
please don't play the victim card. Just give us solutions. We are tired of your rhetoric. We've heard your propaganda for 3 years. हम सुन रहे हैं ये सारी campaign, ये सब सुन रहे हैं. We are familiar with your campaign material.
But it is not correct. Can you deny the fact that you, as well as other political parties, they have crucified mankind on the cross of gold, and you people are
not. No, ma'am. We are holding you accountable. No matter what cause dramatic you feel you are espousing, the fact is we have held you accountable. We will continue to hold you accountable. No matter what excuses you make.
We are reacting.
One second. Anila Singh.
Which we are taking.
Anila Singh.
And so very well has been said by the doctor on your panel, Faye.
Anila Singh.
Now, let me complete. I do not want to raise my voice on this topic.
No, I have a couple of questions for you, if I may. Anila Singh, I have a couple of questions for you. Is it not true?
Forced me to do so.
Is it not true that there was an investigation that led to the chief medical officer being removed? And then we had an investigating officer who said that that particular investigation was, the FIR was registered after a conclusive report. As of now, the UP government has given a clean chit to all of the doctors and promised the doctors that no action will be taken against them. So does the government have a clear understanding of what happened in Farrukhabad and who was responsible and who should be held responsible? Because I'm actually, in spite of the research that we have, I'm having trouble following this story. The fact that babies died, an investigation was asked for, then people were fired, FIRs were filed. Now that FIR has been taken back and the people who were fired have been brought back into their offices. What's going on really, Anila Singh? Can you explain to us?
I'll tell you. The final report which has been submitted by the IO, that proves that what has happened in the hospital, and was it because of the negligence of the fraternity or the administrative setup there. So whatever the final report has been submitted by the IO, the action has been taken, or the steps by the government, the steps which the government has taken right now is the conclusion of that report only. So we should not be surprised on it. But the doctor on the panel has so very well phrased everything. See, it is just now, I told you about a few minutes back only, that this is happening in other states as well. But Uttar Pradesh is being highlighted. It is okay because we cannot justify any unnatural death. Be it a small child or a grown-up person.
What does the report say?
This has to be stopped.
What does the report say?
As one of the panelists said that we are living in Faye, we should understand one thing. If we join together PSCs and the CSCs in this state, the staff which we lack is about 40 to 50%. We require that much of staff. And running a government setup and running a private setup is totally two different things. You might change altogether in a month's time what your earlier editor did. But in government setup, it is little different. And I'm telling you, we are lacking in each and everything in health.
Anila Singh, I'm sure you understood the challenges of running government before you took on the government. Nobody takes a job that they believe cannot be done.
We are enduring it. We are enduring it because
Amit Khemka, none of these answers make any sense to me.
Anila Singh, his response on this.
Yeah, I'll come back to you, Nasir. I want to go to Amit Khemka. Amit Khemka, you cannot turn around and say that this job is too hard. Obviously, when taking on the mantle, this government should have known what they were taking on.
See, Faye, what really saddens me is the respective arguments. Kindly see.
The reason people voted us. They wanted change.
Where is the
Please.
change?
Ma'am, can I complete? Ma'am, can I complete?
Go ahead. Mr. Khemka, go ahead.
I'm not a political person, ma'am, so
We are
please
bringing
listen.
the change, Faye. If you expect that everything can be changed in few months of time, it is impossible. Uttar Pradesh has a population of 22 crore people.
No, hang on.
We can't deny the fact
The question is to Amit Khemka. The question is to Amit Khemka, and nobody is expecting miracles, Anila Singh. But the fact that you are not willing to take responsibility is what is concerning at this point.
Not deny these hard facts.
1 second, Mr. Khemka, go ahead. Mr. Khemka, go
We are taking responsibility, but we have to solve the problems. You are
Please hear, ma'am.
If you're going to keep on accuse us, we can't.
Okay, Mr. Khemka, go ahead.
Ma'am, no one's accusing
Can I say something now, ma'am?
What I am doing, sir.
Mr. Khemka, go ahead.
Together, I'm just hearing and telling what BJP.
See, what saddens me, Faye, is look at the arguments which are being put forth. One spokesman of the earlier government says that we had deputed few hundred or 100 ambulances. He doesn't tell us how many doctors did he employ, how many additional doctors came on duty, how much more funds, how much more infrastructure came in. He doesn't tell us. Now look at this government. The spokesperson of this government tells us that last year there were more deaths than this year. So are they taking credit for lesser deaths? Then this government's health minister, the health minister tells us that it was a educational institution,
no,
and I'm only the.
But I have to tell the hard
Can you, ma'am?
I never
Can you
want
keep
to
shut?
discuss on digits
Can
and
you keep
statistics,
quiet
but
for a
I'm
while?
supposed to do that.
Do you have the patience to
Like
listen?
this. As you will have your turn. Showing as if
You will have your turn.
I am playing on the dead body.
You are playing. Absolutely, you are playing.
Anila Singh, please listen to the other panelists. Anila Singh.
I have to tell the facts and figures if somebody else is telling facts and
Anila
figures
Singh,
of this
Anila Singh.
government. I have to tell about the other governments
Ms. Singh,
as well.
can I complete?
please finish.
Continue.
I know you have nothing to say,
Sure, you can.
so you can only speak over people. You can only browbeat people because you have nothing to say. That is the problem. The problem is that you want to say that there are lesser deaths because of your good administration.
In front of
you are saying that there are lesser deaths because of your good administration.
I have
your
to tell you that what BJP government is
your
doing
health
right now.
minister says,
But can you deny the fact that the plethora of problems which we have inherited the
One second, please don't yell at the same time. The audience cannot understand you. Anila Singh, calm down. If you talk over other panelists, nobody can understand what you're saying.
Quick point here, please keep quiet for a while.
Let Mr. Khemka please finish the point he's making.
The health minister says that I am only the health minister. It was an educational institution. Now, does he want to say that health in his state is a byproduct of education or making doctors? Now, does he want to say that? Now, look at the arguments which are being put forth. When Dr. Desai makes very, very positive suggestions, the spokespersons are not ready to take those suggestions. The spokesperson doesn't say that we will consider what Dr. Desai is saying on this panel. I am surprised what you are telling me about the investigation. Investigation has been made a mockery of. You actually blame the people. You actually blame the doctors who have nothing in their hands. And first you lodge an FIR against them, then you find that there is nothing we can do about it. So the whole system is rotten. You are not saying that we have a rotten system. We are doing this. Why are you not outlining what is your agenda? What is your roadmap? That is what you are not outlining. You are just getting into.
Okay, I want to bring in Javed Ansari here because Javed Ansari has covered politics for decades right now. And Javed Ansari, if this is the pattern in which we move, then every new government will turn around and blame the previous government. And in 5-year cycles, we will never, ever get anything done in this country. Is it fair to make that argument that we've just inherited a rotten system and we can't fix it overnight?
Well, that is at best a lame excuse, especially when you're 6 months into governance. Yes, there is an element of truth that all governments, previous governments, have not given the kind of attention, not accorded the kind of priority that health care should have in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Having said that, this cannot be an excuse that, oh, because the previous government didn't do it, so therefore we didn't. The gentleman before me and the good doctor on our panel, he's come up with some very good suggestions. The least that the government of the day can do is take on board and start moving. They should have done this as early as of yesterday. We don't want any more of our children dying in Uttar Pradesh, or for that matter anywhere in this country. There is no point in blaming Akhilesh Yadav government, or before that the Mayawati government. Yes, those governments are to blame. That's why that's why they've been removed, and you've been entrusted with this responsibility. Now we need to know how you will move forward, not by sacking and arresting doctors, but what is the roadmap that you have for the healthcare system in Uttar Pradesh? Please educate us. This is the least you can do.
That's an excellent question. In fact, I'm going to ask all of our panelists right now to give Anila Singh enough time to finish her answer. We'll all listen very carefully. Anila Singh, can you highlight, like Mr. Ansari asked for, steps being taken by the Uttar Pradesh government to prevent the children of Uttar Pradesh from dying in the manner they have died up till now? What are the steps being taken?
I'm not going to sit here and tell you stepwise that what health ministry is doing or what health ministry is planning to do in the future. Rightly, if you go to Mr. Siddharth Nath Singh, he is the health minister in Uttar Pradesh, he will be able to enlighten you in much better way. But at the same time, we are sitting here and we are talking about the deaths which happened, unfortunate deaths which happened in BRD hospital and in the Farrukhabad. I can talk about that, but if I am going to tell you that present government is already on its way to hire more staff, if I tell you that present government is already on its way to put in more ambulances, I can tell you so many things, but then again you are going to cross-question me. Perhaps I may not be able to answer those questions. So if you really want to know that what exactly health ministry is going to do for UP, you can talk to Mr. Siddharth Nath Singh.
But Mr. Siddharth Nath Singh doesn't make himself available to questions. So see, we have a problem here. Anila Singh, Siddharth Nath Singh,
अगर आप और समाजवादी पार्टी के प्रवक्ता मेरे ऊपर आरोप लगाएंगे और आप ये
आप पे कोई जातीय आरोप नहीं लगा रहे मैम, हम ये कह रहे हैं आप जवाब तो दे नहीं रही हैं, आप वॉट अबाउटरी कर रही हैं कि उस राज्य देखो क्या हो रहा है और मैं जवाब नहीं दूंगी।
आरोप तो हमने नहीं लगाया, हमने आपसे बस ये पूछा है कि यूपी गवर्नमेंट आगे जाके ऐसे क्या करने वाली है जिससे बच्चों की जानें बचाएंगे।
And I am going to correct them as well if they are going to put any wrong facts about the present government. But Samajwadi Party and the Congress Party, if they are going to preach me that what is right and what is wrong, I am not going to
hang on. Anila Singh, 1 second. To the gentlemen of the Congress and the Samajwadi Party, please pipe down for a second. Anila Singh, nobody is making accusations. My question to you was, what is the UP government doing? You are here to represent the ruling party within UP. Now, if you cannot give me concrete steps on what you're doing to save the children, why should we believe that the UP government is doing anything at all?
No, I have already told you a few of the steps which this government is telling me. No, Faye, I have already told you a few of the steps which this government is telling you. But if you want a very clear picture, then you have to talk to Mr. Siddharth Nath Singh.
Mr. Siddharth Nath Singh has announced no such steps
on the deaths, the deaths which happen in these two hospitals. So let us talk about the health sector in UP. So
what you want to do is talk about the previous governments. What you want to do is exchange accusations between political parties. I do not have the time for that sort of thing, Anila Singh. I want to know what are we doing to save the children.
Do anything to abate this disease? Faye, I just want to know one thing. Faye, I want to know one thing. Does virus and bacteria are political creatures? Are they political infection? They are not. But if the political party wants this issue to get politicized, I am ready to answer in a political way. But if you want
Ma'am, we have waited for 15 minutes for you to arrive at the point. You have not arrived at the point. You have circled the issue, blamed everyone other than yourself, and refused to give a solution saying go read the website. I must say, ma'am, kudos to you. You're a perfect spokesperson for the BJP.
Political parties, then I am going to make this debate political. I am going to talk in a political way.
Ma'am, you have no answers.
To the political parties.
Your bankruptcy and deficit when it comes to your ideas.
My audience is gaining nothing from hearing the three of you speak at the same time. Please stop. One second. Anila Singh, please calm down. Anila Singh, unless you are willing to answer my question about what the UP government is actually doing, I don't want to hear anybody exchange political accusations here. This is of absolutely no use to me or my audience. Anila Singh, please.
No, this is what I'm telling you.
Anila Singh.
For the first time.
Anila Singh. Nobody cares about the politics.
Going to be set up in that area. Did Congress and Samajwadi Party did that?
Are you quite done, Anila Singh?
I do not have an answer to give you, which is why they get
representatives. If they,
I want to ask.
No. I am.
Okay, I want to listen to the viewers. Achal is on the phone line from Bangalore. Achal.
How we can improve the system?
Yes, hi.
Go ahead.
My question is directed at Dr. Vivek Desai.
Yes.
I have actually two parts to this question. The first part of this question is, does India recognize the immediate need of the massive healthcare burden that they face in the coming years in 2019 in terms of infrastructure and availability of staff and doctors? Two, since most of these deaths are happening in government hospitals that are run by state governments, isn't it time that India looked at a centralized, unbiased, neutral body to look after the infrastructure, maintenance and upkeep of these hospitals? I mean, we're already 50, 60 years into our independence and, this is still happening, so it's quite unacceptable.
Right. Amrita Mitra is on the phone line from Bangalore as well. Amrita, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Faye, good evening, everybody. It's really appalling to see the BJP spokesperson talk about statistics right now, because this shows actually the apathy, and it's really appalling to see her talk about statistics when actually she doesn't have a single inkling about the pain the parents are going through seeing their babies die on the bed right in front of them. So that is point one. And it's been already 5 months, ma'am, since Yogi Adityanath has come into power. Out of the first 5 orders, if I check out, which is of course in public domain, so you cannot, defy it, forming an anti-Homeo squad was your priority. Stopping cow slaughter was your priority. Does your health, hygiene, hospitals ever come in the top 5? No, it doesn't. If you're so much worried about the kids, don't talk about Digital India. Don't talk about Skill India. Don't talk about anything India, because you're killing the very future line of India. So this is really very hurting, because if you come down and you go and talk to the parents in the hospital, you'll get to know that you are killing the very front line of India, our future. So the digital line, Digital India and all these initiatives, they don't actually hold any value. They don't hold any power right now. You are consumed by power. Yes, we can see that. You are coming into the media with no answers of your own. With the questions that we are throwing you as a BJP spokesperson, you should be answering them, but you are not. All you can do is give statistics at this moment and, of course, challenge the previous governments that have come and gone. So
all right.
I don't have anything to say here, yeah.
Yeah, all right. And Amrita is very right. This is exactly the question that we're asking. What are we doing right now? If we want to say that you've inherited a rotten system, let's forget about the past. Let's talk about what we're doing right now to fix the problem. And we have no answers. I mean, to tell us that bacteria is not a political being, you cannot blame bacteria on the government. Of course you can blame bacteria on the government. Of course you can blame bacteria on the government, because when our reporter was in Uttar Pradesh, she found all of the primary health centers in Gorakhpur were locked. So where are these parents supposed to take their children when they come down with a fever? Obviously, these children are going to arrive at these hospitals completely critical and with very little hope. And then after that, you have no oxygen, you have no doctors, your entire system is corrupt. And the worst of all is that whenever someone asks a question of the government to turn around and say they have an axe to grind with the certain political party and refuse to answer the question at all, which is what the Uttar Pradesh government has done until now. You have not answered a single question with honesty. You assume that every question has some sort of political motivation. All we want to know is, what are you doing to save the children? It is a fairly straightforward question. Nasir Salim of the Samajwadi Party, go ahead. And then after that, I'm going to go back to Dr. Vivek Desai with the question that our caller had. Nasir Salim, go ahead.
Basically, I just have a very simple point. I'm just saying, obviously, Anila ji has got cold feet. She can't answer accurately the points, the questions that you're raising. इनके मुख्यमंत्री अनिला जी को मैं बोलना चाहूंगा और आपके टीवी के माध्यम से बोलना चाहूंगा, इनके मुख्यमंत्री ने ओपनली ब्रीजनली ये बोला कि बच्चों का पालना पोषण वो सरकार करेगी क्या? That is the attitude of the current chief minister who's ruling in the largest state in the country. Obviously, you will not get access to any oxygen supplies or cylinders or doctors, and you will only be looking at blame game. I mean, look, right, I'm not saying as a party spokesperson that the Akhilesh government did a lot in healthcare, but at least we addressed the issue. We addressed some of the issues. We had an intent to get those issues going. We got 108 ambulances. We increased medical beds all across the state. We gave Gorakhpur aims within 72 hours. This is one of the largest things. We were the first one. Akhilesh ji in 72 hours gave land, more than 97 acres in Gorakhpur. Which other state did it? Please tell me. Please tell us. Anila ji can only come back repeatedly and keep saying that I don't have answers. And when will the health minister?
Yes, I am ready to address each and every question which you put in front of me. But you also tell me what your government did to abate this disease. Can you tell me, are you going to deny this fact that Gonda as a district came first as most dirtiest city, most filthy city in the country, and it is so nearby in that area? Are you going to deny the fact that Gorakhpur?
Okay. Anila Singh, that's a fair question. Anila Singh,
are you going to deny the fact that how Samajwadi Party government representative?
That is why the Samajwadi Party was tossed out of power. That is why the Samajwadi Party did not get any of the votes. The Samajwadi Party is not in power, Anila Singh.
Which they have given.
Anila Singh, let me send you a news report from 5 months ago when the BJP won the election in Uttar Pradesh.
I am going to be.
Anila Singh, do you remember the news report from 5 months ago when the BJP won the election in Uttar Pradesh? आपको याद है? आप लोगों ने बहुत लड्डू बांटे थे उस दिन।
बिल्कुल।
आपको याद है कि कौन से पार्टीज ने हारे? Who did not get the votes? Who got tossed out of power? लड्डू किस चीज के बांट रहे थे आप लोग 5 महीने पहले उत्तर प्रदेश में?
मैं जानती हूँ कि अगर
हाँ तो गवर्नमेंट किसकी बनी है अभी उत्तर प्रदेश में?
पार्टी को चुनकर लाया
है। तो क्यों चुनकर लाए थे आप लोगों को? तो जनता आप लोगों को क्यों चुनकर लाए थे?
भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार बनी है फे, और भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार जो है वो कदम उठा रही है।
ये कदम कौन से कदम उठा रहे हैं ये बताइए मुझे। आप ये कौन से कदम उठा रहे हैं?
समाजवादी पार्टी और कांग्रेस के प्रतिनिधित्व करने वाले लोग हमारे ऊपर उंगली उठाएंगे।
काम के बारे में सुनना है अनिला सिंह।
बनता है कि मैं बताऊं कि
अनिला जी भाषणबाजी छोड़िए, रोड मैप दीजिए, रास्ता बनाइए, जो गालियां देनी है हमें दीजिए, मगर आप अपना रास्ता बताइए।
Question here for Javed Ansari. Mr. Ansari, can you give me over all the political
You have not answered a single question.
It's very difficult to make anything out over this day. Yes,
unfortunately, I apologize. 1 second. Anila Singh, I have a question for Javed Ansari. Mr. Ansari, as a political commentator, can you comment on this statement for me? मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ऐसा नहीं हो गया कि आप लोग अपने बच्चों को जैसे वो 2 साल के हो जाए सरकार के भरोसे छोड़ देते हैं कि सरकार उनका पालन करेंगे।
Well, obviously he's taking no responsibility, holding out no hope. It's an extremely callous remark at best, and my fear, Faye, is that this is not the last time that we are here debating an issue like this. There are just tragedies waiting to happen in Uttar Pradesh, in most districts of Uttar Pradesh, unless the government of the day wakes up and takes action and applies correctives. Given the noises that are coming out from the Uttar Pradesh government, I don't hold out very much hope. I would love to be proved wrong on this call.
Amit Khemka, same question. I fear that people will leave their children to the government to feed and raise after they turn 2 years old. At a time when children are dying, Amit Khemka.
You have rightly pointed out, Faye, that when the primary health center is lying locked, what do? Do you even need for that forget about infrastructure, forget about what changes will you bring. For opening the primary health center, for opening the locks of the primary health center, do you need 6 months? You don't. So the problem here is that the spokesperson of the government does not know what they are doing. She doesn't want to answer, and what she wants to get into is debate with the two spokespersons of the other parties. It is so, we are also accusing you, ma'am. We are not political people, because we will ask questions. We are not accusing you. We are asking questions. Be patient, be cool, and answer our questions. We are bound to ask. You are in government. If children are dying, no, everybody is bound to ask, and the people on the streets are asking. So that is what you have to do. And it may be a tough job for you. It may be a very difficult job for you. But it is a job which you have to perform, and which you have to perform with patience. You can't get angry. You can't speak over the people. You can't get into political slugfest. You can't. You have to answer to the point. You have to take suggestions, you have to implement them, and you have to answer the questions. Everybody will ask you questions.